You know all these data centers that they're putting in?
Yeah, I do. And the fact that a construction worker, someone who stands to make good money off this building boom, is looking at the numbers and saying, I don't think we can catch up, should tell you everything you need to know about where this is headed. Let me put what he just said into perspective for anyone who didn't catch it all. Crusoe is a company that is building a data center in Abilene, Texas, my home state, and phase 2 alone is 1.2 gigawatts. That's the electricity consumption of 1 million homes. One facility, one phase. Meta is also building one in the state over, Louisiana, that pulls the equivalent of 4 million homes. And those are just 2 projects. There are hundreds in the pipeline across the country right now. Here's the part that should stop everyone in their tracks. The grid, the actual physical infrastructure that carries electricity from power plants to your home, can't handle this. They've announced that 12,600 miles of transmission lines needs to be built or upgraded just to keep up with the projected 30% increase in demand over the next decade. Now, that's not a data center problem alone, but data centers are the single biggest driver. And the estimated cost of a project like this, $60 billion just for the lines, not the power plants, not the substations, the lines. And he asked a question that more people should be asking, right? Where are they even, or what are they even using all of this for? Because most people hear the word data center and they think it's storing your photos and your emails. No, that's not what a 1.2 gigawatt facility is for. These are AI training centers. They're processing the compute load for the largest artificial intelligence models on the planet, owned by a handful of corporations, powered by your grid, and paid for eventually by your electric bill. So you've got a system that private companies are building facilities that consume the energy of entire cities. The public grid can't physically support it. $60 billion need to be spent on the infrastructure upgrades that ratepayers will fund, and the communities hosting these things get a few dozen permanent jobs and the privilege of watching their utility bills climb. Not to mention noise and water and all sorts of air pollution. That's the current model. Here's what nobody in the conversation is talking about yet, though. What if data centers didn't need the grid? I need you to let that sink in. Seriously. What if, instead of building 12,600 miles of new transmission lines to feed centralized mega facilities, the computing infrastructure generated its own power on site? No drawing from the grid, no transmission upgrades needed, no $60 billion bill that gets passed on to working families. Let me show you what that looks like. A company called EcoSync builds decentralized micro data centers, 2 acres per site. What you're seeing are compute units inside shipping containers with solar on every roof. Tulip turbines around the perimeter of the site, generating wind and solar simultaneously. On-site hydrogen production, sodium-ion battery storage. The entire facility produces more energy than it consumes and pushes the surplus back into the local grid. I think you need to hear that again. When these sites like this are built in your community, it doesn't take from the grid, it gives back to it, to your local community. There's no billion-dollar transmission line upgrades. There's no strain on your local power plant. There's no millions of gallons of water usage per day. This is a closed-loop system generating its own from the atmosphere, extracting that into and producing energy. No rate hikes on your electric bill to subsidize someone else's AI training facility. And because these are 2-acre sites distributed across communities instead of one massive campus consuming a gigawatt in a single location, there's no single point of failure. That is resilience that we need. No one town shouldering the load for the entire country's computing needs. Now, to his question again, what are they even using this for? Well, companies like EcoSync, they run on something called Vogon Cloud. And the philosophy behind it is called authentic intelligence. This isn't AI built to serve ad algorithms and surveillance capitalism for big tech. This is decentralized computing where data stays under local governance, the infrastructure serves the community it's built in, And sovereignty over your data and your energy stays with the people, not with a corporation pulling a gigawatt off your grid behind a confidential utility contract. Are you hearing me? This is your data that you have ownership of. And through their model, not only are they contributing clean water and clean energy back to your local community and not extracting it, but they're actually giving you governmental rights to it to allow you to own your data and be monetized for it instead of the third-party big tech companies. And for the construction workers, the tradespeople, the people who would actually build this stuff, decentralized infrastructure means more projects in more places over a longer timeline. Instead of one mega site that employs a surge of workers for 18 months and then needs no more than 30 people to run it, you've got a network of sites being built and maintained across communities. Steady work, local work, work that doesn't require importing labor because the scale of each project is manageable. So if you're watching this and you're wondering why your electric bill keeps going up, this is part of the reason. And it's going to get worse under the current model. The grid can't keep up. He just told you that, and he's the one building it. Share this video with anyone who's paying attention to energy costs. Share it with anyone who's been told that data centers are just the cost of progress. They're not. There's a model that generates its own power, doesn't touch the grid, and gives energy back to communities instead of drawing from them. Okay? And to anyone making decisions about energy infrastructure, before you approve a $60 billion in transmission upgrades to feed centralized facilities owned by private corporations and have your constituents look at you like, what type of legacy are you leaving? Look at what decentralized energy positive infrastructure can do. The math is different. The impact is different. And the public doesn't end up holding the bill. That's where your legacy begins. If you're funding data center development and the grid bottleneck is already slowing your timelines, and it is, we know, decentralized infrastructure that generates its own power isn't just better for communities. It's faster to deploy and doesn't depend on transmission capacity that doesn't exist yet. And how do you think your timeline on your ROI is going to work out when you have a decentralized cloud and edge cloud market growing at a faster CAGR than traditional global cloud? Or when, in addition to data services and cloud services and AI services, you're also generating return on your investment through selling energy back to the grid? Come on now, let's think together. I want you to open your contact box, reach out to me. And to you, brother, at the beginning of this video, you're seeing this from the ground level, right? The scale of what's being built, the infrastructure that doesn't exist to support it, the gap between what's being promised and what's physically possible. You asked the right question. The answer is that it doesn't have to work this way. DM me, man. I think your perspective is exactly what this conversation needs. And in conclusion here, guys, that they need 12,600 miles of new power lines and $60 billion just to keep the lights on for these things. Or, and hear me out, you build data centers that make their own power. The grid problem is not unsolvable, it is a choice. And right now we're choosing the most expensive, most fragile, most extractive version of it. And that doesn't have to be the answer. There's an answer that includes what I just said, plus a type of compute infrastructure that serves humanity, puts basic human rights first, puts the human identity first by allowing you to own your data and then monetize from it. That's a paradigm shift. That's flipping of the tables from the exploitative digital slave trade that we face today. Pretty easy choice if you ask me. We just need to spread awareness. So help me out. Thank you very much.